Hey there, everybody. Hope at least your day is going well. I've got. Yeah, but you know what? Welcome to another Wild Wednesday. I'll be, adding some stuff on to my next Thoughtful Thursday, and you'll understand just how terrible my day is going. My entire damn week, actually, but regardless. So, for this Wild Wednesday, I was looking through, part of Mario's theories, and, actually, PokeStuff, but whatever. And I found this one that's called, the full title might be a little long to be in the Wild Wednesday just because of how YouTube wants to limit the length of titles. I'm not sure why, but yeah, the full title of PokeStuff's video is Unveiling the Origins, the captivating reason behind Pokemon capture. Well, I think that should be an interesting theory to get into, and I don't know. Well, let's find out what this is about, and, eventually I can get around the Thoughtful Thursday and vent some stuff.
Why did people begin capturing these Pokemon in the first place? Hello and welcome back to Pokemon Theory, the show where Professor Oak really isn't a professor and going to the gym doesn't mean pumping iron. Unless you're in Dewford Town, which is a literal gym. A little backstory. Pokemon is the game that was developed and released in 1998 to us Americans and about 2 years prior to the Japanese. Developed over half of the 90s decade, Pokemon would have been created long ago, but due to paperwork and approval, it wasn't finished till around 1996.
And even then, I'm sure that the actual game developers would have liked a little more time, because I mean, hell, between all the junk data that was erased, but it wasn't overwritten, so it's kind of still there, just inaccessible in the background. Yeah, the game developers were essentially rushed into production, whereas I'm sure they would have loved to have maybe another few months or so just to flush out everything past what Celadon. Well, maybe past Saffron, but yeah. Well, I'm sure they would have liked a bit more time to flush out the 100-some Pokemon that they had to delete because they were rushed into production. Thanks, Nintendo!
After its release, many people came to get swept up in the craze of gotta catch 'em all. By appealing to a simple few practices, Pikachu and Ash became a household name in the 90s and went on to become the second best-selling game franchise for Nintendo, and the most popular Game Boy game for quite some time. Pokemon has gone on to become known more for the Pokemon Company, which produced more Pokemon games than Metroid or Zelda games.
Well, that's also maybe due in part to every single generation having 2 or 3 different versions of the same exact generation. Which I kind of get, because, they want people to go out and meet people and be able to trade Pokemon that are exclusive to them. For instance, let's see, just looking at Red and Blue, let's see, Sandshrew is exclusive to Blue, and what's an early one for Red? Ekans. Ekans is exclusive to Red. Well, Ekans is exclusive to Red across all 3 first-gen games, but... Well, I don't know about Green. I'm talking about Red, Blue, and Yellow, but yeah. Yeah, they want people to go out and actually be able to trade. Of course, at least with the first, the second, maybe the 3rd gen? I don't know exactly, but you would actually have to not only go out and have the Game Boy and have the cartridge in the Game Boy, but also have a link trading cable so that way you could trade back and forth. And hell, there's even there's 4 different Pokemon that only evolve by trading, so therefore, in order to complete the Pokedex that way, you would also need to be able to trade the evolution, trade the pre-evolution, then let them evolve, and go from there. And the good news about that is that because there's Haunter into Gengar, Graveler into Golem. What's another one? Oh, wait, was it? Machoke the Machamp, and what's the fourth one? Right, Kadabra into Alakazam. The thing about that is those further evolutions have the same exact learn sets at the same exact levels as the pre-evolved forms. So it's just, might as well just trade them, let them evolve. That way I have an even more powerful Pokemon that learns things at the same level as the pre-evolution. But I don't know. Maybe maybe a Game Freak, the Pokemon company, was just saying, hey, we want people to get out more. Don't just sit at home and be sedentary. Go out, meet people, and make some friends, trade some Pokemon, learn some things. Just get out of the house. Maybe not. I don't know. I don't have any source. That's just a theory.
But I know there is a large amount of people out there who never even question why people in that universe started capturing these monsters.
Well, I think you almost answered the question within the question. Why people start capturing monsters? Oh, hell, take Diglett and Dugtrio. If those things are digging around the place and creating caves underground, causing whatever's on top to become unstable and fall in, people would want to capture them so that way they could train them and have them fight off others that would do the same thing. And then therefore their area is safe and protected. At least that's what I would initially think, but maybe there's a different reason. Who knows?
Think about this for 1 minute. Imagine people living in a very early technological time where clay pots and simple farming was the life that most people had. Then suddenly one person says, hey, you know what? Let's just go capture these monsters capable of destroying the world. It's kind of silly when you think about it, but that's basically how it went, right? Or maybe not. Maybe there was some Pokemon causing some type of destruction in these villages and cities and people wanted to stop this. Maybe before the Great War, people were trying to prevent that destruction by partnering with Pokemon. For this theory, I would like to reference previous canon theories that people are Pokemon, and Pokemon evolve into people, and that people used to marry Pokemon.
Whoa, hold on. That was quite a bit at once. So, people become Pokemon, or Pokemon evolve into people. That's a little something. And then people can marry Pokemon. I don't know, because hell, just like here in our own world on Earth, most life is carbon based. Yeah, but interspecies breeding. It's more or less impossible. I think maybe wolves and dogs can potentially breed, but they're both part of the canine family, so they're more distant cousins. Well, very distant, let's hope. But hell, let's take dogs and cats. Dogs and cats cannot breed, because they are completely different species. There's canine and feline. And yeah, there might be some, familiar markers just because they both evolved on the same planet, but not enough to where they can actually breed. I don't know, I would think that humans and Pokemon would have such different DNA markers that they wouldn't be able to breed. Huh. Maybe that's something I can check out some other time, at least how, Pokemon used to be people, or people become Pokemon, or Pokemon become people, however, whichever order that it works in. Maybe that's something I can check out in the future. That would be quite something, but yeah. I highly doubt that humans could even breed with Pokemon because, like I said, even though they both originated on the same planet, well, maybe. There's, something that maybe Pokemon came from another world. Which, if that's the case, maybe they can't breed at all, because maybe their DNA isn't even... Maybe the Pokemon's DNA isn't even carbon-based like humans. Yeah, but... Wow, we're 2 minutes into your 8.5 minute video, and I went on quite a bit, so... Yeah, you know what? let's get back to you, and like I said, maybe I can check out some of those other theories sometime in the future.
Oh yes, as cringy as it might sound, in the Pokemon world, people used to marry their Pokemon waifus. But these are some serious things. Basically, when a person dies, it can become a Pokemon like Yamask, and that Pokemon, through the generations, can evolve back into a human. Some people speculate that this is why aging is much slower, and indeed why people take Pokemon attacks in the Pokemon universe like Hyper Beam or Thundershock and don't just die.
That's an interesting thought. Maybe there's some genetic manipulation going on there. I mean, hell, if they can take different Pokemon of all different sizes. I mean, hell, take a Onix for instance. Onix is a gigantic Pokemon that's several times bigger than the average person, and it can fit inside a tiny ball this size. So being able to do that, maybe there's some genetic manipulation going on. What would the term be? A gene therapy. Maybe there's some kind of gene therapy going on, and maybe people age, but they just age slower, or maybe there's like some type of healing factor, or some type of resistance to where like electric shocks are not like a person getting an electric shock would immediately stop the heart, but maybe through gene therapy can say, oh hey, you get an electric shock, it's just gonna like ground out through. Hopefully you have both your feet on the ground, so that way it just grounds out through you and it doesn't hurt you as much. Maybe you feel it and you get like a tingly static shock where your hair's standing up on end, but you don't die. Given how advanced technology is, maybe there is some type of gene therapy going on with everyone.
I want to be very specific here. I'm saying that a Jinx is not yet a human, or a Hitmonchan, or other human-shaped Pokemon. Though close, they still have yet to make that final step in transformation. However, this is all basically confirmed through the lore of Pokemon, specifically the Canalave library. But if you want more info on that, there's plenty of my theories out there explaining these ideas.
I don't know where the Canalave library is, but that's probably somewhere in the future, in some future generation. But I mean, hell, provided that we don't go too far into second gen or beyond, I could definitely check out some of the other theories, at least. So the fact that humans can breed with Pokemon is confirmed in Pokemon lore, or at least that humans married their Pokemon. That's confirmed in Pokemon lore. Interesting. Well, that'll definitely be something interesting to look at in the future and actually see for myself.
Among others. Back to today's video. We are going to be looking at some of the earliest evidence there is, and that is Arceus and the Jewel of Life, and the war 3,000 years ago with AZ from Pokemon X and Y. Starting with the movie, when Ash goes back in time, it's to an age where Arceus, a god-tier Pokemon, offers to help the people of the area. Now, the plot itself isn't important, but what is important is that while watching the movie, you'll notice that no Pokeball exists for that time. No capsules, nothing really, which raises the question, how do they keep these magical creatures under their control?
Well, probably in a somewhat similar fashion to dogs being, cousins to wolves, still part of the canine family. Maybe like, oh hey, someone just is eating some meat, just, cooking it over an open fire, and then a dog comes up and it's being submissive, just head down, tail between the legs, and just whining, so to speak, and the person just like rips off a bit of the cooked meat, throws it over, and the canine comes up and just, oh hey, we're friends now, right? You feed me, I'll help protect you. Kind of I don't want to say symbiotic relationship, because that implies a parasite, but I guess, for lack of a better term, a symbiotic relationship. Yeah, they work together, they hunt things, and then, well, the human, knowing how to, having opposable thumbs, is able to create a fire and cook the meat, and then they both eat, they're both happy, and they become friends. Yeah, to answer your question of how they keep the Pokemon, it's kind of like feeding. I mean, hell, that's why, national parks will have a bunch of signs up that said, don't feed the animals, because if you do that, the animals will keep coming back for more food, and they won't actually go and fend for themselves. But in a world where, say, maybe a bunch of different Pokemon are causing damage and destruction to a certain area, a certain village, or wherever, well, then maybe kind of in the same as that old idiom, fight fire with fire. It's just, oh, hey, a bunch of these Pokemon are damaging this area. Let's capture a few and tame them and get them to be our friends. Then we bring them out and have them fight the other Pokemon to keep this area safe so that way we can actually live in peace.
In fact, when Ash shows a local the Pokeball and his Pokemon, the local exclaims that they are magical creatures. But something doesn't make sense to me. Why would these Pokemon serve these people? The game theorists theorized years ago that it was to grow stronger, that Pokemon partner up to gain strength because many of them are instinctual based and cannot think strategically. This can be shown within the anime series, where a wild Pokemon can be strong, but the attacks they choose are reactive and not strategic. For example, a Pidgey might use Gust Attack against an attacker, when Quick Attack or some other attack might be better for the typing matchup. And while I agree to a point that there are some Pokemon that do this, I still think it's strange to see a movie where a psychic Pokemon, a very intelligent Pokemon like Bronzong, and a very powerful pseudo-legendary like Heatran would listen to a man that was attempting to trap the god of all Pokemon.
Well, it's actually quite simple. Like I was saying earlier, you feed a wild animal, then it becomes attached to you. So, well, at least a little bit. I mean, hell, if you have a dog and you feed a dog, and you let the dog sleep with you, the dog's gonna love you forever. And you keep feeding the dog's gonna keep loving you. And kind of same logic with Pokemon. Just, oh hey, here's some food, let's be friends, and yeah, they go from there. Now, I've not actually seen Arceus and the Jewel of Life based on Ash's girlfriend companion at the time. It's obviously beyond 3rd gen, because 3rd gen is when May jumps in, and Misty goes back home to do her own thing, which, I guess they have to refresh some characters, but I guess since Ash and Brock are so popular, they have to stay forever. So Arceus and Jewel of Life, I have not seen that. I'm actually still catching up through, the Johto, or the first Johto, so technically Season 3. I'm still catching up to however the hell long it's gonna take. Yeah, so, like I said, I haven't seen Arceus and Jewel of Life, so I'm gonna have to take your word for whatever happens there, but, I mean, hell, I can almost kind of understand, like, hey, I want to capture the god of all Pokemon, but that's a little ambitious. Well, more than a little ambitious.
But within the same movie, there are Pokemon that are imprisoned as well, and they seem not so happy. This seems to be oppression to a point of severity, to subjugate these Pokemon to this treatment, forcing them to listen and obey their captors. Otherwise, those Pokemon might face torment, torture, or worse. This seems very dark, yes, I know, but Pokemon teaches good and evil quite well, and they telegraph what is evil and why it is evil to children very easily. Don't get too down in the dumps though. We still have the war that occurred 3,000 years ago. According to AZ, that man lost his best friend in the conflict. This shows that AZ was a good man at one point in time, and that his partner Pokemon might have loved him like a partner and not like a subjugated beast.
Well, yeah, I mean, I keep bringing up the fact that, oh, hey, feed an animal and the animal loves you, but it is definitely a little more than that. I mean, you feed, like with a dog. You feed the dog, you take the dog for walks, you let them outside so they can take care of business, and that you bring them back in, give them lots of attention, love, and then maybe they sleep in the same bed with you if you allow that. Some people don't, but I mean, me, I've had a few dogs over the past 34 years of my life, and it's always sad when they leave. But I'll let them sleep with me. They'll cuddle up next to my legs and like maybe rest the head on my stomach, and it's just okay. That's cool. Yeah, and it's definitely not not anything more than just, oh, hey, we're family. I love you, more or less. And plus, dogs do communicate, just not with the same words that humans use. And yeah, it's very obvious that the dog is happy and comfy and everything, and it's just okay. And maybe it's the same kind of thing with these Pokemon. It's just, hey, we feed them, we give them attention, we let them sleep with us, and it's not I have to be careful about the words I use. It's not it's not an intimate relationship. It's more of a familial relationship, familial love. Wow, you got about 3.5 minutes to go on your video, so wow. This went a bit quicker than I thought it would, so yeah, you know what? Let's get back to you and see what else you have to say.
But unfortunately, because of differing ideals, changes, and life in general, a massive war was sparked. And wars, life, and conflicts change people, which is why a good man might have strong Pokemon willing to work with them at first. But then, that same man might become corrupt, and those Pokemon might still serve him, not knowing that he has become so corrupt. So instead of being satisfied with one or two Pokemon, or even a few, one for flying, one for surfing, or maybe one for its strength, the people get greedy. They build empires. They force and subjugate Pokemon through hypnosis, just as Bronzong had done within the movies, which supports the idea of why people started capturing Pokemon. But then those who saw this corruption wanted to fight back against it, and so they caught their own Pokemon as well, which caused a very rough cycle for many ages.
Well, that does make sense. Yeah, I said it earlier. The old idiom "fight fire with fire" was just, oh hey, the enemy has a sharp pointy stick. I need a sharp pointy stick in order to fight against them. Oh, the enemy has a weapon made out of metal, a sword. Okay, I need to find a way to make my own sword and fight against that. And then, as technology increases, it's just, oh, the enemy has this, I need this. The enemy has this, I need this. Yeah, now, I could be wrong about this, but I believe it's that necessity is the mother of invention. Okay, you need something, like you need some kind of a tool to till the land, so that way you can farm. That's necessity. Whereas war is the father of invention, and like I said, oh, pointy stick, I need pointy stick. And okay, these are a bunch of pointy sticks. Everyone has a bunch of pointy sticks. Let's go fight the enemy. And yeah, and of course, as technology progresses, need better weapons, better weapons, better weapons. Yeah, war is the father of invention. At least I think that's how it goes. I could be wrong, but yeah, it definitely makes sense that that some people don't just fall into line. Plenty of people do tend to think for themselves. Not everyone just falls into line and obey the master, obey the master. Plenty of people think for themselves and just, I'm not obeying any master. I'm thinking for myself, and I'm going to fight against this supposed master, and hopefully whoever takes charge will be someone good. Although, likely not. Those who would make the best leaders are those who would never actually pursue leadership roles, whether at a simple job as a management of a store or as leader of a country. The best person to fulfill that role will never actually pursue that role.
Until it became more of a sport and competition.
That actually does make sense. I mean, it's something that happens during wartime, and as war progresses, well, the technology is still there, but people can use it for non-combative competitions. I mean, hell, it was like the Roman Colosseum. People would fighting wars with their weapons, their spears, their swords, and everything. Then after the war, well, we have all this stuff. What do we do with it? I know. Let's create entertainment for the masses by putting people into there, and then they fight each other. And whoever wins is whoever wins. It's just a competition. It's not war. Or hell, even more modern. It's like people shoot each other with guns. But then outside of war, it's just, well, we have the technology. Let's create paintball guns. People shoot each other with a little bit of paint. And those pellets are definitely going to hurt, but they're not going to kill anyone. Well, they can if hit the right area, the wrong way, the wrong way, the right time, or maybe it's the right way, the wrong time, or maybe it's both. Who knows? But yeah. The point is, yeah, war does produce some pretty nasty things, but people can turn around and make them maybe a little more happy instead of just bad.
Through the ages, with the massive destructions, people forgot that humans were Pokemon, that they were evolved from Pokemon, and that when they die, they are reincarnated as Pokemon. And like history, when people forget, they often repeat themselves, be it for good or bad. One final piece, though, that explains this puzzle is in a very early episode of the Pokemon anime, the Indigo series. Ash, Misty, Brock, and Team Rocket get stranded on an island called the Island of the Giant Pokemon, which actually just turned out to be Giovanni's amusement park. The point is that on the island, the groups lose their Pokemon, and while alone with each other, the group's Pokemon, specifically Coughing and Ekans, explain why they were not evil. That Pokemon cannot be evil, but instead that because their masters do evil things, they in turn do evil things. But because they love their master so much, they do what their masters ask. And if you think about it, a Pokemon, a monster that is more instinctive based, joining up with a human to further its own power, that Pokemon would probably have limited knowledge of what's morally right or wrong. What would be right and wrong for a Pokemon anyways?
Well, I suppose that's a matter of perspective. One person's peace is another person's torment. One person's torment is another person's peace. Yeah, it's all a matter of perspective and personal experience. I really loved that episode, the Island of Giant Pokemon. that was a fun episode, and I especially loved the like having the translation for certain scenes, but then that one scene where they're all like around that, I think it was a Slowbro like food stand. Yeah, all the Pokemon are talking all at once, but Meowth's the only one that's understood because Meowth is the only one that speaks human talk. Well, yeah, because that's how it's at least said in the dub of the anime. Meowth always says, "Hey, I speak human," not like it doesn't specifically say I speak English or I speak Japanese. He just says I speak human. But yeah, like I said, whether things are good or evil, maybe they do have a concept of it, but like you said, they love their masters, their trainers so much that they just do what they're told. And then when they don't have orders, they're free to choose whatever they want. And they're just, hey, we're not evil, we're not going to attack these other Pokemon unless our trainers tell us to. And in a way, Meowth had always had a kind of a hard life because it was like going to Hollywood or so, like he grew up somewhere near Hollywood, but in an area that had become run down or whatever. And Meowth was always always a downtrodden, and he eventually learned to talk human to try and impress Meowsy, but I'm getting way off topic, so. Like I said, good and evil is kind of a matter of perspective. I mean, hell, let's take Meowth, for instance. He would always be stealing food to try and eat. Is that good or is that evil? Well, I mean, if you ask the cook, it's definitely evil because the Pokemon's just running in and stealing things. But if you look at it from Meowth's perspective, well, Meowth's got to eat in order to survive, so. Is that good or evil? Well, I mean, he's got to eat, but he can't actually pay for anything. Well, where do you draw the line in that case? Honestly, I don't know. I've gone to bed hungry, well, quite a few times, but yeah, yeah. I don't know where the line gets drawn, but yeah, I suppose, like I said, it's a matter of perspective. What's good? What's evil?
Many human nuances are no concern to Pokemon at all. They're still creatures after all. To sum up this theory, humans use Pokemon for personal gain, become greedy and corrupt, seek to stop the greedy and corrupt. After thousands of years, wars, conflict, people now instead use them as a time-honed tradition and contest to further their skills as trainers and their Pokemon's power. I wanted to address one thing that I didn't address in this video. So, towards the end, when Arceus is being stuck in the cave and they're trying to basically turn him into a giant statue or whatever, keep the orb, I don't really know what their plan really was at the end of the day. It's just a plot device to make them look like real bad guys. I get that, I understand that. But the group of Pokemon attacking Arceus are all using some type of electric attack, and it's very unique and rare to see this. This just seems like really poor writing, and I wanted to point this out because it's really ridiculous to see all of these Pokemon in these like little caves where they were being held captive and possibly tortured were coming out of the woodwork to attack Arceus with electric attacks, even though several of them were not electric types, like Exploud, Nidoqueen, Nidoking, etc, etc. There were some electric types, but you get the point. That's it for today's Pokemon Theory. Please make sure to let me know what you thought of it, and like and share wherever you can.
Okay, well, that's the end of PokeStuff's video, and yeah, like all the different Pokemon, even ones that are not electric types, using electric type moves. Maybe I mean, hell, this is an era before Pokeballs were even a thing, but maybe they could be taught electric type moves through some kind of means. I don't know when the different TMs were introduced, but maybe there's something there. Maybe there's some way they can be trained. Cause I don't know for certain. Maybe it was like third. I think it was like somewhere around third gen. Like Pikachu or Ash was able to train Pikachu how to use like Iron Tail. At least I think. At least I think that was part of the advanced journeys. Or yeah, cause I saw a little bit, but I didn't get much further than that. Long story, but yeah, maybe there's some way that this guy could have, well, forcibly, obviously forcibly teaching the Pokemon how to use an electric type attack. Or maybe not all of them were using electric type attacks, but when trying to draw the scene, the animator just, it is way too difficult to have all these layers of all these different attacks going after Arceus. So let's just instead like have it all one color that mashes up or that conjoin or it just comes together at one point at Arceus. That way we're not having 500 different layers of 500 different attacks all coming together at once. Just one layer, all the attacks look the same. Make it easy. Who knows? Maybe they were rushed into putting the movie out. Yeah, and as for all the Pokemon obeying him, despite how many of them there are, maybe it's not so much hypnosis like you brought up earlier, but maybe it's more of a what? Well, damn it, what's the term? Maybe it's more along the lines of Stockholm syndrome, where it's just like the Pokemon obey because they don't see anything else that they can do to fight for themselves and be free. Maybe something along those lines. I don't know. Like I said, I haven't seen that movie. Like I said, that looks like a fourth gen, I think, because it's whoever Ash's girlfriend companion of the time is not obviously not Misty and not May. So I don't know, maybe the next companion that he travels around the world with. Maybe I don't know. But yeah. Maybe I'll know sometime in the future, and I'll have some other thoughts about that. But anyway. Yeah, I would say that the main reason for capturing Pokemon initially is because, well, a large group of Pokemon are causing damage to an area, so tame a few of them. Maybe not even with Pokeballs, just like, here's some food, let's be friends, help me defend this area, which is my home, and now is also your home, so help fight off these other Pokemon to protect our home. And then, as technology progresses and gets more and more complicated, eventually you get Pokeballs. And hell, with the giant war, people will use their Pokemon to fight back and forth. But then eventually the war ends and it's peacetime. Well, we have all these captured Pokemon. We have the technology to capture Pokemon. Is it just gonna go to waste? Nah. Let's create an entire sport and what mass entertainment or yeah, entertainment for the masses. That's the way the words are supposed to be. Just entertainment for the masses, so that way we keep this piece for as long as possible. At least that's what I would think about it. But hell, maybe there's some other theories out there that I can check out sometime. So, if you have an idea for a Wild Wednesday commentary, whether it be Pokemon or, well, one of the other games, preferably ones that I've uploaded, or hell, just a video that has to do with video games in general, that works too. Put it in the comment section down below. I'll give it a quick look and possibly do a Wild Wednesday on it sometime in the future. I'll see you there. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to smash that like button. Subscribe if you haven't. Hit the bell so you can always be notified whenever I upload another video. And of course, have fun.